Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of ACS Golf. Now, today we're going to be looking at the Ping G410 Crossover. Now, if you're new to the channel, the whole point of this is basically I go out into the second-hand market, pick up clubs that I think could help improve my bag and also your bag. Now, being a mid to high handicapper myself, I've been playing for, I think, about 2.5 years now. I'm currently at 17 handicap. So the idea, if these clubs can work for me, then they can work for the majority of you watching this show. Now, the Ping G410. Now, for anyone who hasn't watched my videos before, basically I tend to struggle from my sort of 4-iron up. You know, like a lot of us out there, we tend to struggle with our longer clubs. You know, put me 160 yards away from that hole, laughing, very happy, this is great. But longer than that, and I do tend to struggle. So it means, the long par fours, I might be getting, double bogey or bogey, when potentially I could be getting pars. And the same with the par five, I very much play par fives as 3 shots and in. You'll rarely see me going for the green in 2. Now, another video I originally did regarding a 4-iron actually is the Tour Edge Exotic Iron Wood. Now, if you haven't watched that video, do go and check that out because it's a great club. Now, that has been in the bag for a while until literally before Christmas, so a couple of months ago, I actually saw a friend of mine and he had the Ping G400 in the bag. Just got it, 4-iron. And one thing that drew me to it is the fact that the club head size, actually lengthwise, was actually a bit longer. Now, this year for me, the aim is to get my handicap down as low as possible. I'll have a few lessons, etc. But there's so many clubs out there that can help me. I'm going to be looking at those clubs because in the end of the day, yes, I love playing with a nice, sleek, sort of blade-looking clubs. I like playing with the smaller head drivers, etc. But all this help out there, club-wise, we all should be looking at it, really. There's no shame of putting easier hit clubs in the bag if it's going to mean that you score lower. So, on to the Ping Crossover. Now, I'm not a massive fan of hybrids. I do have a hybrid in the bag, my 3 hybrid, but I do tend to prefer irons. I prefer to have a little bit less behind the ball. So, this is another reason that made me pick up this crossover because, like I said, my friend had one. It had a bigger club face than the Ironwood I was using at the time. And we all know Ping's a great club. So I managed to find this. And firstly, let's talk about some of the information about the club from Ping's own website. I do love this. We'll take it down to Silvermere as all my videos do. We'll see what happens regarding tracking it, distance, etc. And then afterwards, I'll discuss, if I think it should go in my bag and if I think you guys should be playing it as well or possibly going for other options. So, firstly, let's just have a quick look, nice closer look at the club. So here's a closer look at the Ping G410 Crossover. Now, one thing that I really do like about this club is it's just the sleek looks of it. It is a driving iron, but it's not big and chunky. It's really nice, really simple. Looks very much like an iron, to be honest, and that's one thing that I really do like about it. And that's what really does appeal. I mean, there you go, not a massive offset behind it. And there you go, very good looking club. Now, the idea of the crossover is, of course, it's one of these driving irons. So it's in between a long iron and in between a hybrid. The idea that people who don't want to play a hybrid can still have an iron-shaped club that very much performs like an iron, but gives a lot more forgiveness than your normal sort of long irons would. So, give you some information about the G410 off Ping's website itself. So, we've got iron-like gearing, so easy to align, offering a clean premium appearance. This crossover has a shorter blade length and narrow sole, so it looks and performs more like an iron. Slightly forward CG promotes significant less shot bend to ensure straight, stable trajectories. Great. Last thing you want to be doing is shooting it all over the place. So with the club, I do notice that. I mean, if you have a look there, and I did show in a photo, it is very much like a long iron. It's still longer, I would say, than your normal sort of 4-iron if it's just with a set. but it still looks very sleek. There's not a big offset behind the club when you look down it, and that's particularly something that I really like to look at. And also, it is a thin base there. It's not a fat, chunky sole, which, again, for me, I prefer. When I look down at something that's fat and chunky, I always just think more clubs would get stuck in the dirt and therefore chunk the ball and it doesn't go anywhere. So moving on, it's got an internal rib structure. So inside here, behind the face, a C300 margin, steel face, increasing flexing for more ball speed and added distance. The interior rib design contributes to the powerful sound and feel. You're never going to complain about that, are you? And then we've got a tungsten toe weight, which is just here at the top of the club to expand the parameter weighting for added forgiveness. A 30-gram dual density tungsten weight, 50% more than the C400. There you go. Offsets a smaller blade size to achieve higher MOI. So even though the G400 was a bigger club, and if you see the G400 crossover, it's a lot thicker. The same with the G series, it had a lot more offset behind it. But the idea, what they've done, even though they've shortened the blade length, which again, I don't think they've massively done, they've actually increased the tungsten weight to offer higher forgiveness, higher MOI, which is what we always want in the end of the day, isn't it? More forgiveness and more distance. That's what every club wants. And then a premium hydro pearl chrome finish, just to make it look good. Oh, and also, to reduce friction with the turf to improve launch and spin from rough and wet grass. Well, there you go. All the bells and whistles there. So that's all the information about the club from Ping itself, all the technology that's gone into this. So let's get down to Silvermere and let's read off some of the figures for you. So here we are down at Silvermere. Now, before I get into the figures, just to say about this club, one thing that I found myself and also my friend did actually with his G400 crossover, it is quite difficult to get used to the club at first. So if you do get this club and you do take it down the driving range and the first time it's the most horrific experience of your life, don't worry about it. Stick with the club, give it a few more driving range sessions, get down on the golf club with it, and then maybe after a month in the bag or a month and a half, then decide if it's the right club for you, because it does take a bit of time to get used to. But I, at the moment, have got it working and it's purring like a perfect little kitten. Now, actually, I'd change that. It's purring like a lion because it is really performing well. Now, this is actually the session from the first time I used it, so this is all over the shop. It's been dated apart from that, which is quite nice actually. It's been in the bag now for a while, and so I really do find I'm actually using figures from a later driving range session, which I really feel like does this club more justice. Now, going into it, flat carry was 184 yards on average. Total carry was 202 yards on average. Ball speed was around that 124 miles per hour mark, launch angle 15 degrees, and height was 69 feet. Now, my longest, when I really went for it, was 185 total carry, 212 total distance, 127 ball speed, 13 launch angle, and 55 feet in height. Shortest though, and this is what I was quite happy about, was only 174 total yards carried, 188 total yards and distance, and 119 ball speed. So the shortest actually is not that far off my average. It's only about 10 yards behind. Now, if we go into sort of the main thing about this club and forgiveness wise, what I found with it for what it is, being a driving iron, it has some forgiveness. It's not that bad. It does have a big slice of forgiveness. Obviously, if I missed it right out on the toe, or I missed it on the hill, then it would absolutely you'd feel it and it wouldn't go anywhere. But then majority of any clubs in the world, if you do that, is going to be horrendous. I will say though, remember this is a driving iron. If you want a lot more forgiveness, then do go for a hybrid, because that's what they're for. Now, going into the feel of it, it's a lovely one there. Didn't realise I was actually hitting it this well in this video, to be honest. If we go down to the feel of it, off the face and in the middle, very explosive, a lot of power. I like the feel Obviously, when you miss it, you know, which, to be honest, I actually like about clubs. I like when I miss. Yeah, I get told about it, basically. You know, the worst thing to do is not hit it right, look up thinking, oh, I think I hit that quite well, and then see it just drop right in front of you. So I do like that about the club. Um, Sound, I do like the sound. There you go. I prefer the sound far more to the Tour Edge that I was recently using. It's just a more duller, nicer sound. Um, and then yeah, and I just think it's a great club. Now, one thing I will mention just quickly about Ping as well is all their clubs have a serial number on it, and this is especially something to look at when you are buying a club secondhand off eBay or off Facebook Marketplace. Also, if you're going to one of these secondhand shops, I believe in America you've got Replay Golf. Over here you've got Golf Bidder, for example. I mean, there you go in there. I've done a research, and you know it's going to be legit. Now, if you're buying it off eBay, like I said, there's a serial number on the golf clubs, just on the hosel. Now, with that, you can literally go to Ping, go on to contact them, get an email address off their site, and then email them the serial number and say, look, I've got this Ping crossover, blah, 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 with this serial number. Can you confirm if it's authentic? And relatively, they come back to you very quickly, about maybe an hour or something like that. I think they literally did come back to me with an hour regarding this club, which is great. You know, if you're looking to buy this club, there are fakes out there, so do be vigilant of that. Do use, you know, ask them for the serial number before you maybe pick it up, you know, and then go and check with Ping before you buy it. So it is great. Now, apart from that, we've had a look at the figures, told you how about the feel, I've told you about the sound, and I've told you about the distance. Now, let's get back into the office. Okay, so there are the figures. Now, as I mentioned before, and something that my friend mentioned, that who actually had the G400, it takes a little bit to get used to this club, but when you can get it purring, it's awesome. I absolutely love it. You know, exactly what I've said already regarding it. 184, you know, total carry yards on average, 202 total distance. It's perfect. Now, one thing that I really liked with this, for four iron, a lot of the time, you know, especially for me, I tend to struggle to get my irons in the air. And with this, it really did pop it up. I mean, the ball flight on some of the shots, unfortunately, not in that video because it has been in the bag for a while. Some of the shots are lovely. When you get out of the middle, it's great. The ball flight is absolutely fantastic. So, firstly, do I think the viewers should pick this club up? Now, just going through all the sort of the crossover series. So the crossover started in 2016. You had the Ping G series, and then 2017 the Ping G400. Then 2019 this one came out. 2021 you got the Ping G425, and now at the moment 2023 you got the Ping I crossover, which is the first one, by the way, that you can actually adjust the loft itself. Price wise for these clubs, you know, 2016, so just the G series. You know, I've looked on eBay, for example, sales wise, you're looking about sort of £60 mark and below. Over here in the UK, the G400 crossover, you're looking more around sort of just below that £80 mark. And in the Ping G410, you're looking around just sort of below that £90 mark. Obviously, every now and again, you get a great deal. I mean, I picked this one up for just around £85. And then the G425, you're looking at the plus £100. So for under sort of £90 for this, personally, you know, I'm happy with it. I know exactly what it's going to do. Ping's a great brand. Are there other options out there from 2019? I think maybe you could have a look down at Strixon. I mean, the um, Strixon irons, long irons out there, driving irons, sorry, there you go, finally got there. Driving irons, a little bit cheaper. I mean, but if you're looking at TaylorMade DUIs, I think the DUIs, um, they're more, and they go up more price as well. So I think for the market and what they are, I think they're in the price point. So that's a good point. So yes, take that. Now, do I think the average Joe, if you're struggling with your irons, to put it in a bag, no. I think if you're struggling with your irons, I think go for full hybrid. Like I mentioned in the video, the forgiveness is okay, but it's not fantastic. At the end of the day, it's a driving iron. Driving irons are supposed to be that sort of in the middle range. If you want maximum forgiveness, you go for the hybrid. So no, I think if you don't like your irons, if you don't perform well with your irons, I think then yes, look at a hybrid, go down that, maybe TaylorMade Sim Max, which I've mentioned many times before. Price of that is dropping at the moment. That's a great option. Even having a look maybe at the Mizuno's, Mizuno hybrids at the moment, the latest ones, CFTs off the top of my head. I think it's CFTs. No, that's Ben Hogan. Sorry, CLKs. The CLKs there, they're good. They're very high launching as well. But I think if you like playing with irons, I think if you hit your irons well, if you don't like that chunky look of the hybrid, I think it's a great option for the bag. I think even if you want to go to 3-iron or 4-iron, or maybe 2-iron, sorry, I do think the ping crossovers are great. I mean, if you read any other reviews out there, they're always fantastic. Good distance. For what they are, relatively good amount forgiveness. I mean, personally for me, the 2016, 2017 model, so the G400 and the G series a bit too fat behind the ball, but this 410 and up, I mean, they're beautiful clubs as well. So yes. So some of you, I think, should go out and give this a go, especially if you want a driving iron, then go and give it a go. If you're thinking, shall I go for a driving iron or a hybrid, then I would probably suggest go for hybrid. Now, regarding in the bag for me, yes, it is in the bag. It's been in the bag for a couple of weeks. It has replaced the Tour Edge one I have. Nothing wrong with the Tour Edge Exotic. It's a great club. But for me, it was a little bit too thick behind the ball. And for some reason, it just, I tend to, with my irons, have a bit of a draw on it anyway. And I think there was maybe a slight draw setting on it, possibly. Club might have been a bit close, and I was drawing it way too much. I just couldn't get on with it. While with this club, I'm tending to hit it a lot straighter, or maybe a little bit to the left, still have a little bit of a draw. But when I hit it, it tends to go straight, which is one of the things they say. So for me, it is in the bag. So yes, very happy with it. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like, and please don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. Like I mentioned last week, got all these hours of watching, but the people who actually watch and haven't subscribed is a massive amount. I think it's 3.5% are actually subscribed for the viewing hours, if you see what I'm saying. So please do subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, and do comment down below if you do play with a pin crossover, or if you tried the pin crossover and maybe tried a hybrid and decided against it because you wanted that more forgiveness. So yeah. So thanks very much, and I'll catch you next week. Bye-bye.